Hello everyone and welcome back. We now begin part 2 of this version of The Last Jedi. Excuse my voice, I'm a little sick. Fortunately, I recorded most of this before I fell ill, so the voices for me during our recording is better than the voice for the outro and intro. But if you have not watched part 1, I recommend you watch that one first, as this version of The Last Jedi differs greatly from Rian Johnson's version. I'll put a link to the video for part 1 below. As I said before, this version is to see if there was a story where those who like The Last Jedi and those who hate The Last Jedi can come together and see if this story would have worked for both parties. Part 1 will explain the rules put forth, but if you're not caring about the rules, just skip to the 6-minute 48-second mark and the story will begin for you on part 1. Without further ado, let's begin. Part 2.
In space, Poe and his squad of AK Scrambler fighters return from hyperspace with a small fleet of ambassador ships. "See? I told you. Easy mission," Poe says. "Because I'm with you to save your behind," Paige says, flying shotgun. Poe smiles. He flips on the comm link. "Leia, this is Poe. I got your packages." "Good," Leia says. "Bring them in. If we are going to keep the Republic alive, we need their commitment to reinforce our borders." "Copy that," Poe says. On the Supremacy, Snoke watches the Resistance members along with Hux. "Destroy them all," Snoke says. Hux salutes and gives the order. Suddenly, First Order Star Destroyers and the Supremacy itself jump out of hyperspace, firing at all Resistance ships. In Leia's capital ship, Lieutenant Connix swerves around from her tactical station to Leia. "General, it's a trap!" "Yes, it is," Leia says, glaring at the Supremacy on the view screen. She clicks on the comm link. "Admiral Akbar, now!" And just as quickly as the Star Destroyers appear, an equal amount of Resistance Mon Calamari capital ships appear on the opposite side. Leading the charge is Admiral Akbar's ship, the Resolute. As the Resolute launches its fighters, Admiral Akbar says, "All ships, our main target is the Supremacy." The Mon Calamari open fire at the First Order fleet. Meanwhile, on Leia's ship, Leia contacts Poe saying, "Poe, we need to form a wall between the ambassadors and the First Order. Turn them away or take them out." Poe acknowledges. "You heard the lady. Light them up." Many AK Scrambler fighters manned by 2 pilots suddenly split into 2 separate fighters, taking on the First Order TIE fighters, and then combining back to one for greater firepower to take out the dreadnoughts. And when TIE fighters are behind them, 2 fighters merge into one, where the guns are shown on the front and the back, to take on the TIE fighters on their 6, while still maintaining their original targets before them. Leia turns to Lieutenant Connix. "Lieutenant Connix, share our view screen to all the ambassadors out there, and open a channel to both the Republic and the First Order." Lieutenant Connix does so, and nods to Leia that she is on. "This is Leia Organa Solo, Queen of New Alderaan. I am here to let you know the New Republic is alive. The Starkiller base tried to destroy us, but we have always been more than a few planets. As you can see, our fleet is still strong and our allies are numerous. The First Order has made a mistake in starting a war with us, because today we show them what the New Republic is capable of." Leia watches as both sides take heavy losses. Lieutenant Connix looks worried. "General, by my count, this is all we have left. If we lose, the Resistance falls." "Then we better not lose," Leia says. Snoke hears Leia's message and merely smiles while watching half of the First Order fleet being blown away. "Well played, Queen Solo," Snoke says in full admiration. "Sir, half our fleet is being destroyed," Hux says. "Don't worry. Everything is proceeding as planned," Snoke says. Another Star Destroyer explodes before Hux's eyes. He treads carefully as he turns back to Snoke. "I don't mean to question your great plan, but maybe now while they are feeling overconfident. We should bring the rest of our fleet back in. There's no need, Snoke says. By now, we destroyed most of your fleet. Wait, what? Hux questions, confused. We. Suddenly, the command doors open and Captain Phasma walks in wearing her armor. Hux reaches for his blaster, but Phasma blasts him in the shoulder and he goes down. The other bridge officers also reach for their weapons, and Phasma, along with the Praetorian guards surrounding Snoke, mow them all down, leaving only a bleeding Hux on the floor. Hux attempts to crawl away, only to be blasted again in the leg by Phasma. He pleads to Snoke, "Why? I was loyal." "Yes, you were. We could have never weakened the New Republic without your help. But now, your usefulness has come to an end," Snoke says. He turns to Phasma. "Do with him as you wish." Phasma whips out an energy blade before Hux. "I'm going to kill you slowly." Hux smiles, as if accepting his fate. "I always thought it would be Kylo Ren who would betray me." Snoke smiles as well. Hux's smile fades. "That's why I always came prepared." Before anyone can react, he presses a button on a panel and a blinding light fills the bridge. By the time it disappears, Hux is gone. "I'll find him," Phasma says. "No, let him go," Snoke says. "He is irrelevant now." "But you promised me his head," Phasma demands. "And you shall have it. But first, I need you to board the Resistance flagship and kill Leia Organa solo." "With pleasure," Phasma says. She marches out. Snoke nods for several of his Praetorian guards to follow her.
Meanwhile, back in space, an unknown Third Fleet exits hyperspace and jumps into the fray, firing at both the First Order and the Resistance ships. As Poe and Paige try desperately to fight their way through a swarm of brand new fighters, Poe talks to Leia through the comms. "Leia, it's getting thick over here." Back at the Resistance capital ship, Leia signals to everyone. "All forces split up. Prepare to jump into hyperspace. They can't follow us all." "Coordinates are set," Lieutenant Koenig says. "Get us out of here," Leia says. They attempt to jump, but the ship merely buckles. "What's wrong?" Leia asks. "We can't jump," Lieutenant Koenig says. "Something is blocking us." In space, Poe looks around. "I don't see any First Order interdictors." "It must be one of those new ships," Paige says. "But which one?" "There are hundreds," Poe says. Back at the capital ship, the ship rattles as an explosion knocks almost everyone off their feet. Leia closes her eyes and reaches out with the Force. When she opens her eyes again, all become clear. She points to one of the new ships. "This one," she tells Poe, sending him the coordinates. "Get that ship to shake us loose." "You heard the General," Poe says. "Everyone follow me. We will barrel right through them." "It's going to be tight," Paige warns him. "Well, look at the bright side. You'll get your chance to pull my behind out of the fire," Poe says with a wink and a smile. "Okay, let's do it." The AK Scramblers attempt to barrel through using all maneuvers they know, from attacking separately, combining fighters for a stronger frontal assault, and combining defensively with guns in the front and back. But they quickly get wiped out by the Yuuzhan Vong fighters and ships. Poe and Paige combine their scrambler, having all guns facing forward for a last desperate frontal assault, but they too get tagged, sending their scrambler out of control. "The reactor's been hit," Paige says. "It's going to blow. We need to eject." Paige slams her eject button, but nothing happens. "It's jammed." Poe pushes a button to slide open the wall between his cockpit and hers, but it only opens part of the way. Poe reaches for her with his hand. "Don't worry, I got you." Realizing the hole is too small and there's no time left, Paige merely says, "No, I got you." And she ejects Poe out of the scrambler fighter right before it explodes. Poe screams, "Paige!" as he watches the scrambler explode with his lover inside. Back at the capital ship, Lieutenant Koenig says, "Poe and his squad didn't make it." Leia looks somber. Another explosion hits them. "We can't take much more of this," Lieutenant Koenig says, looking at her sensors. "We have incoming."
Leia looks at her view screen and we see weird drill-like ships punching through space and burrowing into Leia's ship. They're boarding us, Lieutenant Connix says. Leia looks on helplessly and merely mutters, Luke, where are you? The Ebon Hawk exits hyperspace as Finn and Maz reach their destination. They look at the planet where Luke is at before them. So, Maz says. So, Finn says back. Are you going to tell her when you see her? Maz asks. Tell her what? Finn says. How you feel? It's clear as day, Maz says. I don't know what you're talking about, Finn says. BB-8 beeps something. You stay out of it. Wait a sec. I actually understood you. Why can't I understand you? Oh, that. While I was fixing your back, I noticed you could use a few improvements, Maz says. You messed with my head? Finn says. It's not a big deal. A common procedure, really. You take a little bit out and put a little bit in, Maz says. You took stuff out of my head? Finn says angrily. It was nothing important, Maz says. How would you know? Finn questions. Do you miss it? Maz asks. How would I know? Finn says. Don't be a baby, Maz says. Finn looks miffed for a moment. Then, with interest piqued, he asks, What else did you give me? Your eyes can go telescopic and you can see in infrared, Maz says. Really? Finn says, squinting his eyes. Maz laughs. Very funny, Finn says, realizing he's the butt of a joke. You could have at least given me the ability to fly the ship or something useful. You want to learn how to fly a ship? Do it the old-fashioned way. Watch and learn, Maz says. We're approaching the planet. Finn looks at his sensors, noticing he sees nothing. Something's wrong. I'm not getting any readings on the planet, or that the planet is even before us. We should detect something unless our sensors are being jammed. Before he can react, a blast shakes the ship. They hit our stabilizers. We're going down hard, Maz says. Finn straps himself in. On the planet below, Luke and Rey sees the Ebon Hawk rocketing down in flames. Finn, Rey realizes immediately, looking troubled. She rushes over toward where she suspects the Ebon Hawk will fall. Luke reaches out with the Force and drags Rey back. Are you serious? Rey asks, upset. You're not ready to face Kylo Ren yet. There's still so much anger in you from the last time, Luke says. I'm not going to sit by and watch Finn die, Rey says. Luke sighs. You remind me of me when I was your age. Stupid and reckless. And I paid the price. Luke walks toward the crash site. I will take on Kylo Ren alone. He most likely didn't come alone. Do you really believe you can take on Kylo Ren and his Knights of Ren all by yourself? Rey asks. Luke pauses, thinking. I don't know, he admits. You need me. And I need you. Whether we like it or not, Rey says. Luke ponders for a moment, and then he nods. At the crash site, Finn slowly wakes up in the wreckage. Bruised and battered, he crawls over to Maz, who is bleeding with a shrapnel in her side and looks badly injured. Maz, Finn says, shaking her. Maz! She merely groans. He looks over to see BB-8 damaged as well, winding down for emergency shutdown. Finn drags Maz out of the Ebon Hawk. Maz screams as she feels a sharp pain. Stop! Stop! Put me down. Finn does so. We can't stay here, Finn says. You go. Leave me here. Find Rey and Luke. Complete your mission, Maz says. I'm not leaving you, Finn says. Maz merely smiles. So, there's more to you than just a girl. Finn turns as Kylo Ren and his Knights of Ren step forward. Traitor, Kylo Ren says. Finn draws his blaster and fires several quick shots, all deflected by the female Knight of Ren, Sayla. Sayla first crushes Finn's blaster. Finn grabs a long, jagged pipe forged from the wreckage and charges at the Knights of Ren. Sayla merely cuts the pipe in half with her lightsaber. She tries to slice Finn in half as well, but Finn's quick reflexes let him dodge her advances and stabs her in the leg with a metal shard. Angrily, Sayla force pushes Finn to the Ebon Hawk's wall. I'm going to gut you, Sayla says. No, Kylo Ren says. He still has some use to us. Sayla sneers. Kylo Ren turns to Maz. She does not, Kylo Ren says. Sailor grins and strikes down Maz with her lightsaber. No! Finn cries. That's right. Let them feel your pain, Kylo Ren says. Meanwhile, Rey and Luke race over toward the crash site. Rey stops as she feels Maz's death. I felt it too, Luke says. You still think there's hope for him? Rey says. I still think he, like you, are our only hope, Luke says. Now come on. Luke and Rey approach the crash site where they see Finn being tortured with lightning. Okay, we're outnumbered, and I cannot use the Force to guide your actions like I did last time with Kylo Ren. Not while I'm fighting 5 or 6 people, Luke says. Of course not, Rey says, realizing that's what happened. She starts to appear nervous. Luke notices, listen, although you don't remember, you have over 4 years of training. That was why you knew how to use the Jedi mind trick on Starkiller Base, or be able to call out to me with the Force when you fought Kylo Ren. Everything you have learned is still buried in you. Just trust your instincts. Don't overthink and try. Just let go and do. While the Knights of Ren continue to torture Finn, Luke and Rey step before them. Ben, that's enough, Luke says. Kylo Ren signals his Knights of Ren to stop. Luke, we have been inspecting you, and I see you brought your protege with you, Kylo Ren says. We did not come to fight, Luke says. Of course not. You came to die, Kylo Ren says. Kylo Ren and his Knights of Ren ignite their lightsabers. Luke ignites his green lightsaber from Return of the Jedi. Rey ignites Luke's old blue lightsaber. Finn, seeing Luke and Rey outnumbered, says, Rey, run! Silence, dog, Sailor says as she kicks Finn in the face. Ben, we do not have to do this, Luke says. Kylo Ren and the Knights of Ren charge after Luke and Rey. Rey barely holds her own against the onslaught of the Knights of Ren, often relying on Luke to assist her in blocking oncoming strikes. But Luke soon finds himself pushed back away from Rey as he fights 5 Knights of Ren at once, leaving Rey to take on Kylo Ren alone. Rey attempts to strike Kylo Ren down, but Kylo Ren easily blocks her attacks, and with a few quick exchange, Kylo Ren knocks the lightsaber out of Rey's hands and knocks her onto the ground. Kylo Ren thrusts the lightsaber towards Rey's chest, but Rey instinctively stretches her hands out and uses the Force to stop the lightsaber inches from her chest. But she begins to lose ground as Kylo Ren pushes forward. It feels different this time around, doesn't it? Kylo Ren says. Without him guiding your actions with the Force. Without me having a gut-shot wound. Feeling the searing heat of the lightsaber, she screams. Hearing her pain, Luke attempts to rush to her aid, only to have one of the Knights of Ren block him and knock the lightsaber out of his hand. Luke force pushed that knight away. The remaining Knights of Ren blast Luke with Force lightning. For a moment, all seems lost, but Luke absorbs the Force lightning with one hand before slamming that hand onto the ground, redirecting the energy into a lightning quake that knocks all the Knights of Ren off their feet. Ben, stop, Luke commands. I will kill her, Kylo Ren says. Ben, you don't have to do this. Let's talk, Luke pleads. The time for talking is over, Kylo Ren says. Give up now or watch her die, just like her mother. I cannot allow that to happen, Luke says. With a flick of a wrist, Rey's lightsaber on the ground comes to life and ignites and chops off Kylo Ren's hand. Kylo Ren screams, falling to the floor. Rey grabs her lightsaber and points it at Kylo Ren. Finn slowly stands up. Kill him, Finn says. That monster deserves to die. He's right, Rey tells Luke. He's killed so many people. I can end this right now. No, Luke says. We still need him. What do you mean we need him, Finn says. Are you kidding me? He just killed our friend. He killed Han, Rey says. You can't bring him back. There's no good in him. Not anymore. You two need to look beyond your immediate pain and see the bigger picture. Right now, the galaxy needs him, Luke says. Back at Supreme Snoke's flagship, the Supremacy, Hux and a dozen First Officer Trooper group together in the hangar bay. Laser fire in the distance. Our forces cannot hold out forever, one of the officers tell Hux. Is this all of us? Hux asks. They completely caught us by surprise, the officer says. We're lucky we have this many left. I've never seen anything like them. What about the fleet? Surely someone is left, Hux says. Our fleet is completely destroyed. They're even taking out the escape pods. And even if we could escape, there's nowhere to go. They're blocking us from entering hyperspace, the officer says. What about the resistance fleet? Hux asks. On board Leia's ship, Lieutenant Connix turns to Leia as another of their ships explodes on the view screen. We're losing too many ships. Another alarm goes off. More enemy soldiers have breached our ship. It's only a matter of time before they reach here, Lieutenant Connix adds. There's nothing more we can do. Start the evacuation. C-3PO should be in my quarters. Tell him to see if there are any ships left in the hangar bay, Leia says. Lieutenant Connix gets on the comm. Suddenly, the bridge door blows open and Phasma and a group of elite Crimson Guards march in, firing at Leia and her crew. Officers quickly surround Leia, a few taking blasts meant for her as they shove her next door on the opposite end. Lieutenant Connix barely makes it behind Leia as the door is closed. We need to hurry, Leia says. There's a secret passageway that leads to the hangar bay. They march down a corridor but stop short of a garbage chute. Leia opens the chute. It's a garbage chute, Lieutenant Connix says. Yes, Han built it. He thought it would be funny. Inside joke, Leia says, hearing the door blow from the other side. Now get inside. Lieutenant Connix reluctantly jumps in, as does Leia. Meanwhile, in space, Poe navigates his little escape pod back to Leia's ship, entering the hangar bay, only to see the hangar bay guarded by 2 Praetorian guards. The Praetorian guards see him and pull their weapons. He rams them with the escape pod. He hops out and shoots them in the chest and head for good measure. He sees that one of the Crimson Guard's helmet was knocked off from the blast, and this is the first time we get to see another Yuuzhan Vong besides Snoke. C-3PO walks over. Seeing Poe, he says, Good, you're here. Leia informed me that we need a starship ready for evacuation. There are none. Wait, how did you avoid all these people? Poe asks. I do have 50 years of experience of handling these types of situations, C-3PO says. They didn't consider you important enough to destroy, Poe says. No, not in the slightest, C-3PO says. Poe reaches for his comms. Leia? No answer. Damn, they must be jamming us, Poe says. Suddenly he hears something banging inside a locker. He turns his blaster as if to fire when he hears a familiar voice. Poe? Rose whispers loudly in hope. Is that you? Poe opens the locker door and Rose leaps to Poe in a bear hug. She releases him as she notices someone missing. Where's Paige? Poe hangs his head. Rose shakes hers. No. No. No, Rose says, crying. We can't break down right now. There will be time for it later. Where's Leia? Poe asks. Sniffing back the tears, Rose shrugs. I don't know. Okay, follow me, Poe says. They go down a corridor. Seeing a couple of more Praetorian guards, Poe starts blasting. He catches one in the chest, but the other one moves with such precision speed that he leaps off a nearby wall and tackles Poe. The Praetorian guard whips out an energy blade ready to plunge it into Poe when the Praetorian guard is shot from behind, falling over, and we see Leia with a blaster taking his place. Leia smiles upon seeing Poe. I'm glad to see you're still in the land of the living, Leia says, giving Poe a hand up. I could say the same, Poe says. They turn as the door on the far side opens, and Phasma and more Praetorian guards enter. Back to the hangar, Poe says, firing his blaster. Poe, Rose, Leia, and Lieutenant Connix race to the hangar bay, only to be intercepted by a first-order freighter docking on their ship. Take cover, Poe says, ducking behind some crates and firing at the freighter. But to his surprise, the freighter does not return fire. Instead, the hatch opens, and the first-order troopers jump out, firing at Phasma and the Praetorian guards. Poe stops firing and simply looks in awe as Hux sticks his head out the hatch. Come on, Hux says. Poe and Leia look confused. I am your only hope if you want to survive. Now get in the ship, Hux says. Phasma sees Hux and charges toward the First Order troopers laying down cover fire. She skewers a few with her lance and begins mowing down the rest with her blaster. It's now or never. Choose, Hux says. Seeing no real choice, Poe, Leia, Rose, and Lieutenant Connix hop aboard. The First Order freighter quickly lifts off. Phasma fires a tracking device on the freighter's hull as it flies away. Hux goes to the comms. Okay, Admiral Akbar. I have them, Hux says. Good, Akbar says from within his ship, the Resolute. All ships prepare for jump to light speed. We can't enter light speed until we take care of that ship blocking us, Leia says. I know. I will take care of it, Akbar says. Leia senses what he's planning. You can't sacrifice yourself. We need you. No, the Republic needs you. You are the face. One we cannot afford to lose, Akbar says. Just know, it's been a pleasure serving you, my queen. With that, Akbar cuts his comms off as he turns his attention back to the Yuuzhan Vong ship that is blocking everyone from entering hyperspace. Ramming speed, Akbar tells his crew. They do so. Leia hits the comms. All ships split up and prepare for light speed. Once you have confirmed you have lost the enemy, reconvene at the designated coordinates. Leia cuts off the comms and merely watches as Admiral Akbar's ship collides with the Yuuzhan Vong ship and both explode. Hux initiates the hyperdrive sequence, and his ship, along with what is left of the Resistance, enter hyperspace, all going in different directions. And on the Supremacy, Snoke sneers in disgust that his prey has eluded him. He pounds on the comlink. A holographic image of Phasma appears. You let them escape, Snoke growls. I have a tracker on them. There is no place they can hide from me, Phasma says. Make sure they don't, because next time we meet, I will either have their heads on a spike or yours, Snoke says. Back on the planet where Luke resides, Finn kneels before Maz Kanata's gravesite beside the wrecked Ebon Hawk. Rey joins him. I shouldn't have come, Finn says. She would still be alive if I just stayed away. You couldn't have known, Rey says. She puts her hand on his shoulder. I'm glad you came. I could use a friend. Finn smiles faintly. He looks at Luke standing over Kylo Ren bound in chains with his helmet removed so Luke can see his face. So, your father is really the great Luke Skywalker, Finn says. I guess he is, Rey says, not attempting to hide her disappointment in her voice. Luke tends to Kylo Ren's wound. I have a few spare hands at the hut. Maybe R2 can jury-rig something. You are a fool to show me mercy, because when I am free, I will show you none, Kylo Ren says. Finally, we agree on something, Rey says, coming forward with Finn. Snoke and his Yuuzhan Vong has already begun their invasion. Besides killing me, he has no more use for you. You and the rest of your Knights of Ren are a threat to him, Luke says. Whether you succeed in bringing me back or not, he will kill you the moment you return. Is this why you separated me from my men? You are trying to convert me for what? For the hope I would then tell my men to stand down and join your little crusade? You are a greater fool than I ever imagined. This isn't working, Rey says. He just needs time, Luke says. Did you get a chance to check out your friend's ship? Can it be fixed? It will take time, Rey says. Why not take their ship, Finn asks. Because he might have a jury-rig to kill us the moment we step inside, Luke says. Oh, makes sense, Finn says. I'll be back with parts for his hands, Luke says. Try not to kill him while I'm gone, Rey nods. Luke leaves. Rey and Finn merely glare at Kylo Ren. You want to kill me, Kylo Ren tells Rey. I can see it in your eyes. Is it revenge for killing my father? Or do you remember me skewering your mother before your eyes? Rey clenches her fist. You do realize that the only person who wants you alive has just left, right? Maybe you shouldn't be talking right now, Finn says. This prophecy he mentioned. He believes you and I are destined to defeat Snoke. He foresaw it, Kylo Ren says with a snicker. Did he tell you he foresaw you turning to the dark side? Rey doesn't answer. I see. He did. Did he tell you how? Kylo Ren asks. Upon Rey's silence, he continues. That you will strike me down and then take my place. Is that why you killed my mother? Were you trying to kill me? Rey asks. Kylo Ren lets her ponder that question for a moment before saying, No, I was trying to kill her. Snoke wanted you alive. Because of the prophecy? He wanted to turn me like he did you. He knew if he snuffed out the last of the light, the Republic would fall into darkness, Rey says. Kylo Ren bursts out laughing. You? You? The light? That's rich. Is that what Luke told you? You Jedi and your truth from a certain point of view. I was the one bred to be in the light. You, Finn says in disbelief. Ignoring Finn, Kylo Ren continues. Before your mother was a Jedi, she was the hand to Emperor Palpatine. She was practically raised by the Sith Master himself. Seeing Rey startled as it begins to dawn on her, Kylo Ren adds, That's right. Your father was literally seduced by the dark side. When you were still in your mother's belly, Snoke realized your power. The daughter of Luke Skywalker and the granddaughter of the most powerful Sith ever, whereas I'm just the son of a smuggler and a rebel princess. Of course it was you he was after, but your mother gave him me instead. Your mother traded my life for yours. That's a lie, Rey says. Is it? Search your feelings, or better yet, read my thoughts, Kylo Ren says. That is why your mother had to die, and your father allowed it to happen, or to keep their precious Rey from turning dark. How does it feel, knowing your father, your mother, and you have single-handedly destroyed the New Republic the moment you were born? Not able to take it anymore, Rey runs off. Let Snoke destroy it all. I will see the last of you die before I lift a finger to help you, Kylo Ren shouts as Rey races away. Rey runs and runs and runs until she trips and falls. Shuddering, she turns to see Finn has followed her, looking concerned. It can't be true, Rey says. Does it matter, Finn says. That I'm evil incarnate? I think maybe a little, Rey says. Finn thinks for a moment, choosing his next words carefully. Here's what I see. Luke is telling you that you are the last light of the Jedi, destined to fulfill some prophecy. Kylo Ren is telling you that you are the next Sith Lord. Everyone is trying to tell you what you're going to be, but no one knows. Not really. I don't know anything about the Force, but from what I see, there's good and evil in everyone. It's our choices that makes the difference. Rey nods understanding. Back in space, the First Order freighter carrying Poe, Leia, Rose, and Hux exit hyperspace. Poe looks at Hux and says, Did we lose them? There are no ships chasing us, Hux says. Are you sure? Poe asks. Hux rechecks his readings. Yes, Hux says. Okay, Poe says. He then socks Hux square in the jaw, knocking him on his backside. He goes on wailing on Hux before the other First Order troopers grab him and pull him off. The troopers pull their blaster on Poe to hold him at bay. Rose and Lieutenant Connix quickly pull their blasters at the First Order in a Mexican standoff. Are you crazy? Hux questions. I just saved your life. Because of you, so many good people just died out there. Because you wanted to bring the Empire back. The war was over. All you had to do was live in peace. Instead, you left us all open to be attacked, Poe says. If your government was strong, you wouldn't have fallen to any outside forces, Hux says. Enough, Leia says. We can go on and on about whose fault it is, but the fact of the matter is we need each other to get ourselves out of the mess we got ourselves in. Poe shrugs off the First Order troopers. Everyone put their weapons down. Everyone except Rose, who's pointing her blaster at Hux. Rose, put the blaster down, Leia tells her. Rose does not budge. Poe, Leia insists. For a moment, Poe remains glaring at Hux. Then he gives in, saying, Rose, put the blaster down. Rose shakingly puts her blaster away. You rebels need to control yourselves, Hux tells Poe. Like it or not, if we are to survive, we have to work together. Don't call us rebels. We haven't been rebels for quite some time. We are the Republic, Poe reminds him. I'm afraid the Republic died today, as did the First Order, Leia says. No, we can regroup, gather our allies, those loyal to the Republic, and everybody who was loyal to the Republic, just so our fleet gets decimated within hours. Any ambassador who survived will not come to our aid now, Leia says. If we are to win, we are going to have to rebuild from the ground up, starting right here, right now, with us, meaning no more Republic, no more First Order, no more divisions. And who will lead this group? Hux questions. Everyone in this room will have a voice. Is that fair for you? Leia says. Hux nods. In that case, if we cannot rely on your allies any longer to join the cause, might I suggest we branch outward? I have had past dealing with Arak the Hutt. He has many resources we can use. For the right price, of course. Maybe he can help. Leia, Poe, Lieutenant Conneth, and Rose look away as he mentions Arak's name. Hux notices. What? We have had some dealings with the Hutts. Let's just say they might not be so eager to help us, Poe says. Great. Is there anyone in the galaxy your Republic hasn't pissed off? Hux asks sarcastically. We'll just have to convince him, Leia says. Hux, plot us a course to Arak's lair. Right now, he might be our only hope.
This concludes part 2 of the story. As I said, I'm a little ill, but I did want to, before I head out, I did want to discuss the deaths of Maz Kanata and the death of Paige Tico. I feel like when you do a story and you kill a character off, it only works if there's meaning behind that death. It basically means you had a purpose for killing them off. It helps increase somebody else's character for that person's death to have occurred. Otherwise, it feels pointless. So I killed off Paige Tico mainly because it affects Rose's character greatly with Paige's death, and it affects Poe's character greatly. And before I killed her off, because I knew she was going to die from the beginning of the story, I wanted you to get to know her. Obviously, the easiest way was to attach her to Poe, so you feel for her because Poe feels for her. But hopefully, even without that attachment that Poe had, you get to see her character and see how she operates, and you kind of like her personality. So when she dies, you feel that same loss that both Poe and Rose feel. And that helps you understand when Rose later on pulls a gun on Hux. Like, yeah, she blames him for that death. And she wishes to latch out. She wishes to grieve. She wishes to let out. And this is where the only time I would compare my version to Rian Johnson's version. The problem I had with Rose and Rian Johnson's version was that she lost her sister too. But because we never had a chance to know her sister, the loss didn't feel for us. And the problem we also had was that she herself didn't seem like she felt the loss. She was too busy fawning over Finn and being upset that Finn wasn't what she expected to be. But I've always felt that if I lose somebody important to me, whether it's my mother or my wife or my sister, and then a celebrity I always wanted to meet comes up, I'm not going to be quite in the mood to talk to that celebrity at that moment because I just lost a loved one. I lost someone whom I expected to see again every day. So the person who comes up to see for that once in an occasion will appear hollow to me. So that's the only part I never understood, that Rian Johnson didn't focus more on Rose's loss. But again, that's the only time I'm really going to compare Rian Johnson's version to mine, because my version needs to stand or fall on his own. But I just wanted to put that out there why I did not like Rose in his version. The other death that came, of course, was Maz Kanata. Now, the reason why I killed Maz Kanata's character off was because it greatly influenced and affected what happened to Finn in his, as I call it, the C story, and what happens to Rey and Luke, the A story. Finn is coming to terms that his actions have consequences, and Maz Kanata's death works for Kylo Ren's character because it makes Kylo Ren seem more irredeemable, and it puts more into question of which one is right, Rey or Luke. And is there still good in him, or is Luke so blind that he cannot see? So it brings that into conflict, into a nice father and daughter conflict, I feel. So that's why I focus on those deaths, because they enhance the other characters. Other than that, I guess I'll see you in part 3. Oh, for those of you who wonder how much time I've used so far, I said I would have this at the 2.5 hour mark only. The first video, besides my intro and outro, was 37 minutes long. And this video, besides my intro and outro, is 35 minutes long. So altogether, I used an hour and 12 minutes so far, leaving me an hour and 18 minutes left to use for my story. Oh, if you like, please click on that like button. And if you want to be known when part 3 comes out, press the bell. Okay, have a good one. Bye.